Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Beatrice Boepple, and she played Amanda Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Hey Beatrice, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Scotty?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad that we can make this happen. Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure. I'm so excited to be doing this interview.
Great. Awesome. Me too.
Awesome. So the first question I got for you is, how did you get your start into acting?
Well, since I was a little kid, I always knew that I wanted to be either an actor or a horse trainer. And those are the two things I loved the most. And when I had a horse when I was little at one point, and whenever I'd be like grooming my horse and stuff like that, I remember like I would pretend that I was on, what was that show? You wouldn't remember this, but Zoom. Before you guys had Zoom, there was a show called Zoom. And they would always show these segments of kids around the world just doing their daily life just to see what it was like. And so I always imagined that I was on Zoom taking care of my horse. And if things were terrible, like if my parents ground me, if I was grounded or I got in trouble or whatever, I just imagined that somehow the camera was watching. So I had a sympathetic audience. So even when things were a little tough, I don't know, whatever. So, and then when it got time to go to college, I was trying to look between a theater school and an equestrian college. And I was living in Canada at the time. And all the equestrian schools, the good ones were down in the States, and I couldn't afford it. So I ended up doing theater school and loved it.
Nice.
Continued on from there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what was your audition like for A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child?
So Elm Street actually was interesting. It was one of the first auditions I did in Los Angeles, because I had started my career in Canada in Vancouver,
Nice.
which was called Hollywood North. Maybe it still is. So many things are filmed up there.
Yeah.
So by the time I moved to LA, I had been doing a lot of acting in Canada. I'd starred in a bunch of Canadian films, and I was quite used to auditioning. But usually, always in auditions, when you go, if you're lucky, you get a call back. And then if you're very lucky, then you get another call back, and then a screen test or such. Elm Street probably was the one and only time in my whole life, right there on the spot, they hired me.
Nice.
I've never had that happen before. I'm like, do I look that much like Freddy? I don't know. But I read for Stephen Hopkins, the director, and then the producers, and we were all trying to work out, should she be dead? Like, should Amanda be dead at this point? Is she a ghost? Is she alive during these scenes? And, how to really do it. So we tried the voices in a couple different ways. And then I showed them that I could do like spooky children's songs, how creepy little kids' nurseries rhymes sound,
Right.
I sang for them. In fact, it's actually in in Elm Street 5, in one of the scenes is actually my singing in the background. I don't get any credit for it, but right after we did, I was there for about an hour, and they said, all right, the part's yours. I was like, wow, like that's the only time it ever happened.
Nice. That's awesome. And A Nightmare on Elm Street, what a legacy, to be a part of. And it's not like you're, a part of the earlier films where you don't know what this franchise, how big it's going to be. This is the 5th film that you're in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Although I will say, even by number 5, guaranteed, none of us need Lisa, nobody, maybe Robert Englund, that's a different story. He's a different lead, he really, but everyone else, and probably even Robert, I don't think anyone had any clue that, like, what is it, 20 years now, 30 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so old, I can't remember.
Right.
So many decades later that we would still have fans, that people would still talk about it, that people are still watching it and interested in it. Like, that for sure never crossed any of our minds.
Absolutely. And it really is that big. It's up there, with the best of the best, you know what I mean? And Freddy Krueger's a slasher icon. And being the mother of Freddy Krueger obviously comes with its perks as well, because you're the mother of this icon. It's huge.
Yeah. No, it is. It's really huge.
Yeah.
It would have been even huger if I actually got to kill him in the first taping, like the first script. I really should have that script out here for one of the interviews. But anyway, I still have the script. If I'm ever like derelict and homeless, I'll sell it on eBay. But anyway, I'm sure you've heard from other actors from number 5, it was
Yeah.
changing on a daily basis. We were getting new
Yeah.
pages every day because they were just rewriting it and writing it as they were going.
Mhm.
And when we first started, he was going to die. Like that was going to be the last one. I don't know how many times Robert said, "This is it. That's my last one," but apparently he did at this one. And then halfway through filming, it's like, well, maybe we want to leave options that I can come back. So,
Right.
so in the original script, I take him inside me and throw us into the room of 100 maniacs, and that's the end. And
Right.
that was really cool. Like the thought that, I mean, maybe people would hate me for it, but if to be the character that finally destroys him, I brought
Yeah.
him to the world. It
Yeah.
makes sense the mother would be the one that would destroy him, and that was.
Yeah.
But then at the very end, they decided, no, let's leave it open that we might do more, and so they had his hand come out and all that at the end. But
Nice, nice. Speaking about the hand coming out, how was that all filmed?
oh my gosh, that to me to this day is just the craziest thing, because again, when I was reading the script and stuff, I was all excited, like, oh, I know, these films, they have such crazy special effects, and I was really, really looking forward to it. And, when I saw the baby Freddy, because we did the birth scene was I think the birth scene was the first film first scene that we filmed when I was on set.
Right.
It's not always in chronological order. It hardly ever is actually, but
Yeah.
in this it was. So, when they showed the little mechanical Freddy baby, I was like so excited, like this is so cool. And I kept thinking, what are they going to do? What are they going to have for his hand? And I was really looking forward to that. And then when it came time, they dressed up my hand, put the goop on it, put a slit in my nun's habit, and they just had me standing sideways, with a fake chest and a fake right arm. And so, my real hand is holding the fake arm, so that
Nice.
my real right hand, which had the Freddy glove, could come out on cue. So it
Nice.
was one of these ridiculous things where, I'm like trying to, with my own hand, and I was thinking,
Yep.
damn it, here I was so looking forward to some cool special effect, because I remember when they had Freddy coming out of Lisa Wilcox in that one scene, I was just blown away how they did that, with a little small actor,
Yeah.
they taped her to tape this guy to her body, and then had the fake mechanical legs coming out the back and all these cool things. So I was thinking they'd have some kind of mechanical hand or something, no, my own little hand, which just made me feel like, we were in, elementary school acting class going,
Right. Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. So what was it like working with Robert Englund?
Well, the whole experience was very hectic when we,
Mhm.
overall, it was pretty hectic. I mean, there was downtime, of course, there was always downtime on the screen set, but, and I'm sure you've heard this too, but, because of the way they worked this one, we were in such a time crunch,
Mhm.
such a low budget, that they had so many different scenes going on at once. This whole warehouse that we had taken over, had, sets for the different scenes all going on at once. So actors, you kind of zoom from one to the other, and things were going
Right.
on simultaneously. So there wasn't a lot of time, in other films, you really have a lot of time to sit and chat with each other, because you're just waiting and waiting. But in this case, which is kind of fun in a way, you don't have as much waiting, because you're just running from scene to scene. And Robert,
Right.
for sure, because he was in so many of the scenes, was always going.
Mhm.
So we didn't really have a lot of downtime. But I do remember, the first time when I was sitting across from him and we were reading the first lines, and, I'm like looking at this face and trying to imagine, like, truly, what would it be like if I was the mother and this was my child? And,
Right.
I mean, I was young and still, not so far from theater school. So it was a lot of, a lot of research into, what that would feel like. I hadn't at that point been a mother yet, so I was, and I wanted to imbue this, even if it didn't come across or not, just this idea that Amanda, as a mother, number one, and as a nun, number two, still had somewhere in her compassion for this guy. It was her
Yeah.
son, and, she didn't want to kill or destroy her son. However, she knew it was the sacrifice she had to make because of what he was doing to the world. So,
Yeah.
but, I'm looking at Robert, and I pretty much always only saw him in makeup, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think, did we
Yeah.
ever hang out before he was in the makeup? I don't think so, because it was really, like I said, we were going. So
Yeah.
So I didn't really get to spend a lot of time just chit-chatting with Robert as Robert. It was always, Robert as Freddy, and it's creepy. I mean, you're looking at Freddy Krueger, you're looking at that face, that mouth. Even if you know it's makeup, it's still a little creepy, but
Exactly. It really is. So Stephen Hopkins obviously directed this movie. How was he as a director?
He was great. I mean, he was very I don't know if this is his style, all the time, or if this was just in this particular instance because of the manner of our filming being so rushed and such. But he really let us do our own thing. Like he really, from the time I felt very empowered to just make the character my own. Like he did the audition, said, okay, you're it. And then we just kind of chose, tried to come up with whether she's dead or alive, and what that meant. Tried to kind of make it a somewhere in between. And then he kind of let me go with it, and of course I didn't always get it on the first take, but he was very very trusting to the actors. I think, he kind of really let us do our stuff, and would change it if it really needed to, for usually more for technical reasons.
Nice. So what was the best part about filming A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, and what was the worst?
The best part, I think, for me, I mean, now in retrospect, the best part is its longevity, like this incredible, how iconic it really is. And to be able to be doing, I mean, it's great for sure. It's great. Again, I deny the fact that it's great to be able to make some income, even if it's a little bit, from autographs and such, and so much later. But it's also just, a fabulous thing to be part of, such a legend. But at the time, the best thing was for me seeing those sets. Like, I was blown away. Like to be able to walk around on them and just, one of the things I love about acting, which I love in theater too, live theater, is, when you have this set, and it's just when you step on, it's that place, it's that living room, or it's that school building, or whatever it's supposed to be, and even if 2 seconds later, when you step out, you see the back of the wall that's not painted and it's cardboard, and it's all, you see all the buckets and mops and, stuff holding things up, and you see how fake it is. But again, the second you step out, it's this beautiful new world. Well, on a film set, especially with Elm Street, and with this one in particular, the sets were so wild and crazy. I remember that Escher with the stair thing at the end, looking up at this big thing. It was just cool, and the lighting was beautiful, and it was magical. So for me, that was my favorite thing, just being a part of this magic that was being created. The worst thing was that I wasn't in any other ones after. I should have been back. Amanda should have been back.
Absolutely.
I had a little bit of, I felt a little bad that, in a way, I mean, I didn't put too much thought into the fact that somebody else had played Amanda originally. Really only afterwards. I didn't even actually, to be honest, know, because I hadn't seen the one, Nan, who played her originally. I felt bad only in so much as I know as an actor, it's a bummer if you play a part and you develop it. And yet I also know that the reality is, I mean, think of, what is that right now? The Crown. Kind of cool how like different actors keep taking over the roles as the character ages. In this case, the character got younger. I didn't. Which I always laugh at when people would say, like, how can, especially when I was younger, people would, I was, how old was I? Maybe in my early 30s, and I probably looked more like in my 20s when I filmed it. People were like, how could you be Freddy Krueger's mother? And I was like, well, when you give birth, he's a baby, so doesn't matter how old Freddy ends up being at the time, he's still, like, if he came out as an old man, and besides which, in Elm Street, who cares? Like, it could have been anything anyway.
It could have been the dream world. Absolutely. So obviously, as you mentioned, Nan did play previously, Amanda Krueger, and you took over the role as the younger version of her in part 5. Do people confuse you as playing Amanda Krueger in the third film when that Nan was in?
No, I've actually never gotten that. only thing that I've got in terms of confusion, it's funny. I think it's a Fangoria. It might have been a Fangoria or some magazine. They have photos from Elm Street 5, and they have photos of me, and they had 2 or 3, and one of them was my stand-in. It wasn't me, like it was some girl that was just a stand, and I'm, and it has my name under it. And I'm like,
Nice.
that's kind of annoying, just because.
Yeah.
And I remember actually a fan once sent me a collage of images of me that he wanted me to sign, and it had that stand-in in there, and I'm like, I'm not signing that. That's not me.
Oh my goodness. So obviously the set you were on, it was like I guess like a tower type thing. So what was that now? Was that an actual set that they built, or was it a green screen? Or obviously I don't think it was an actual tower, but like how was that made, and what was that?
So that's what was so fascinating with 5. Literally every scene, unless it was outdoors, was filmed inside this huge, I heard Danny say it was a pasta factory. I thought it was a flour factory, but either way, maybe it's flour and pasta. But anyway, I'm actually going to see him soon, which I'm so excited, so I can ask him. But
Nice.
we were in this big factory, and I know it was near Trader Joe's, so it might have been somewhere in LA. I can't remember where exactly. Picture anyway. So it had different floors, it had different rooms, and as I said, they were building these incredible sets while we were there.
Right.
So we had the birth scene. They did some kind of a creepy looking operating room, and that was completely a set. And then they have me coming out of the church doors, and that was also a set. They had these big doors and big lighting, and that's the one where they kept throwing pigeons at me, so the pigeons would come out. And there's the scene in the tower is again, that was like the small little room when I'm turning into a skeleton, or out of a skeleton. No, I turn and I become a skeleton. That's right. These were all sets completely, everything was painted, everything was built. It was all fake.
Nice. And it's amazing how like the sets look, because they do look real. Like that's the best part about it. Like it's the magic of filmmaking. Obviously, it's really nice.
Isn't it cool? And with the lighting and everything, you don't realize that you go 2 inches. If the camera goes 2 inches more, then you'll see the guy holding this up, and the things being held up with this, that, and the other. I think Lisa Wilcox had one of the sets fall on her, if I recall right.
Oof.
Yeah, a little crazy. I mean, obviously it didn't hurt her, luckily it didn't do that, I don't think, but.
Right. So 2 more questions for you. The next one I have is, do you have like the scene when you were like there was the son of a thousand maniacs, when you were with all those maniacs, and one of them obviously was Robert Englund outside of the Freddy costume. Obviously he was the father. You think, right? But were they all extras in there, or was that like, I don't know if CGI was really big in the 80s, but was that like just populating like actual people, or were they actual people in that room?
They were actual people in the room.
Okay.
There were a lot of different extras, and I'm trying to I think there was like a couple film crew people went in there. A lot of times in almost every film I've done, if there's a crowd scene, a lot of times like the cameraman or the director or the producer or somebody, if they want to have a cameo, they'll throw themselves into some funky costume and just be in the crowd, just I guess so that they can show their grandkids or something. Oh, look, that's
Right.
I'm trying to remember. I seem to think there were a couple people, like pretty big people from the crew side, maybe even the producer, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, nice. So the last question I got for you is, do you have any other projects in the works that you would like to promote, or any other social media accounts or websites to plug to the listening and viewing audience?
Well, what I would love to plug is my appearance is coming up. So
Awesome.
Silver Screen appearance. Oh no, Peter's going to kill me if I'm saying it wrong. Silver Screen. Who are we? Oh, anyway, it's Peter Valderrama's. He's my new manager, and since he's taken on my my appearances, he's booked me in a bunch of stuff. So it's kind of exciting. So October 16th and 17th, we have New Jersey Collectors Fest. And Danny Hassel and Erica Anderson will be there. So there's three of
Nice.
us from number 5. I'm not sure who else is coming to that one. It's a small venue, so you really can, like, if you come, it's the second time I'll be doing that. So
Awesome.
it's kind of casual and fun, and you have time to chit chat and meet us. So I
Nice.
hope anyone who's around will come to that. That's Wayne, New Jersey. And then also here in the neighborhood is Brooklyn Horror Con. That's October 23rd and 24th. I think it's a new thing, this one in Brooklyn.
Right.
So that will be fun. Then in November, I'll be in Boston, where my son is going. I just dropped off my son to Northeastern University. So
Nice.
he's a freshman there. So I'll get a chance to visit with him again, because he was like, no, that's it. You don't get to see me till Thanksgiving, but I'll be there. I'll go Boston Mega Fest, and that's in November. I'm not exactly sure of the dates. And then there's something coming up too in October at a drive-in. I don't know if you know. It's here on the East Coast. It's somewhere in the tri-state, I think.
Is it in Pennsylvania?
I think it's in Pennsylvania.
Mahoning Drive-In?
Yes, that's the one.
That's like an hour from where I grew up in Pennsylvania, where I visit usually every weekend.
Oh, awesome. Well, are you
Yep.
gonna come?
What dates are they?
I think it's October 8th through 10th. I'm going to be there. I think Lisa Wilcox will be there. Danny Hassel will be there.
That'd be
I think
nice.
will be there. There's going to be a lot of Elm Street.
That's
So-
awesome. I'll have to check my schedule, see if I'll be able to make that. I would love to go to that, meet you guys. Because I did interview Lisa Wilcox as well, so it'd be nice to meet both of you guys, obviously. And I would love to meet Danny, obviously, as well. That'd be cool.
Awesome. And I'll tell you, Lisa, I don't know what the heck her secret is. She doesn't age. That girl.
Oh, I know.
is beautiful. Maybe she's a vampire, because she's never seen
Maybe.
it younger, right?
Exactly.
But and then the one I'm really looking forward to, because I love travel, is the Hampshire Horror Con, but that's not till a whole year away, next November. But I've already got a contract. That's in Hampshire, England, and Danny's
wow.
going to do that one. I think Lisa as well. So
Nice.
a lot of fun things happening. But it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I hope you
Awesome.
do come.
I would love to come to that. Yes, I'll definitely I'll have to check my schedule, because I know I'm starting to book up my October interviews. So I'm trying. I have to see if I have anything booked that weekend yet. I hope I don't, because I know. Do I? Actually, I might have one on the 9th, because I think I just booked it too. Is that a Saturday?
That's a Saturday, yeah.
I might have them booked. Let me check quick. I can quick check. It's right here on my Zoom.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Let's see, there's 4th, 5th. Yep, 9th. I have Gary Clayton from he was in a deleted scene in Halloween Resurrection.
Oh boy.
Yes, I know. Oh, but I will definitely meet you one of these days. Maybe even the New Jersey one I'll be able to come to, because I'm not far from Jersey neither. I live in Maryland, so.
Okay, awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, I was just gonna say something. Oh well. I can't remember what I was just gonna say.
And do you have any like social media websites or anything else you want to plug?
Well, no, I mean, I have my fan page on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm so not good with social media. I'm not good with any of that, like keeping up with stuff. It's bad enough. Like on Facebook, I always feel bad if anyone who's listening here is one of my Facebook fan friends. And if you texted me and I haven't texted you back, I apologize. I go through stages where I won't even be on Facebook for maybe a month or so.
Wow.
And then I get on and then I catch up with stuff, and then I might be on for every day for a couple of days, and then I'm not on again for another month or so. Never that I'm ignoring people. It's just that, I'm not on it a lot. And I also never realized that there's so many messages that are hidden,
Yeah.
and that's been terrible. Like I one day, I think during, COVID, we've all had so much more time at home, and I was just going through and I was clicking down and I was like, oh my gosh, there were messages literally from 3 or 4 years ago. And
Wow.
I feel so bad, like I never saw them, so I never answered. And, I'm not like that. I don't just not answer. If I have time,
Right.
when I have time, I do try to answer. So.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much, Beatrice, for joining me for this interview.
Awesome. Well, it's been great time. Oh, yes, this is what
Yeah.
I was going to say. Now I
Okay.
remember. So now that both my sons are off to school and I'm finally an empty nester, I really devoted the past 22 years to mainly being a mom to my kids and
Mhm.
running my yoga studio, but doing some businesses from home. But I really put acting on the back burner. There are some actors that very successfully can do both, but not many can really
Mhm.
be successful with their kids and have a really, great career.
Yeah.
Unless they're super rich and an A-list and they can afford to have nannies fly their kids, and all that. But so I didn't, so I put it all on hold, but now I'm gonna be getting back into it. So if any of your listeners are working on projects and they have some juicy part for little old ladies to be a spooky lady, you can.
Right. Nice. Well, I'll keep you in mind. I own a production company, Gravestone Films, that we're based in Pennsylvania. So if I have, we're just wrapping up our current movie 72, but if I have any other projects that are in the works, I'll keep you in mind.
Yeah, do make it.
Yes.
It's fun, interesting role. I want something juicy and weird and creepy. I can be spooky. I can be creepy.
Nice.
I will admit, I'm not a huge fan of gore, but I love scary and spooky. So
nice. Absolutely. Well, I will keep you in mind. And if anybody else is listening that wants to, keep you in mind, definitely do. And thank you so much for joining me. It's been an honor. I'm so glad to make this happen.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.